Call this meeting to order, the Committee of the Whole, May 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Glitter.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Stubby.
Here.
Sorensen.
Here.
Colley.
Here.
Griswold.
Here.
All six are here.
Thank you. We do not have any virtual attendees tonight. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On to number 4, which is the general public comments. We do not have any. Number 5 is approval of minutes. Recommendation is to approve the minutes from the April 8th Committee of the Whole meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 8th Committee of the Whole.
I'll second that. Motion by Victoria, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is the, do I want to bump up?
Those are the two that are
Yeah.
here, are the first two.
Sorry, Brad, can I bump you down 1 real quick?
Sure.
Just because I know that the website wants to be quick. I'm gonna move up number 7. So the website ADA compliance and development. Nathan, do you want to come up to the mic, please?
Okay, my name is Nathan Hess. I work for the owner and director for Ridgeline Studios.
For what?
Design and web development. So I was approached to do a proposal for ADA compliance for the city of website. If you don't know what that is, that's for visually impaired. So that a screen reader can read your website effectively and tell the person what is on it.
Okay.
So the current site, pretty old, I think I developed that 10 years ago or more, somewhere around there. It needs a lot of work. I guess the main objective, phase 1, would be we have to redesign the framework and theme. The framework is a package that provides a structured formation, pre-written code, and libraries to simplify the development portion of it. And then a theme is a prepackaged set of files that dictates the design, layout, and functionality of the website. So the current one, like I said, was 10 years ago, it is not compliant.
Mhm.
So step 1 would be to redesign that with a new framework. The framework I use now is a subscription-based framework that gets continuous updates, so it'll be compliant. I think it'll stay compliant. I don't know for sure. They might abandon it at some point. You never know.
Where it was for that for anyone, yeah.
I would use a new framework at that, but it's a pretty popular framework. I think it'll stay going. So with that framework, then I would develop a new theme for the website. Normal process is I do like 2 to 3 different concepts. We get it narrowed down to a final concept, so we pick fonts, we pick color scheme, pick layout. We get that implemented onto the website. So now we have a fresh new website that should be largely ADA compliant. Phase 2, we would use accessibilitychecker.org. They have a scanner that I would use to scan the framework just to make sure it is compliant. Scan the theme that I developed to make sure it's compliant. And then all 44 pages of the website, including the images. So they would provide like a pretty detailed assessment of how it needs to be fixed and what the problem is, and different levels of like critical things, maybe just aesthetic things that should be done in the future, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty detailed on what needs to be fixed.
Okay.
So make those fixes. Bad news is what it doesn't include is all the documents on the website, PDFs and Word documents. There's no way for a website scanner to scan all those documents and correct them because they have to be corrected in the program that were made. So Acrobat or Word, which they have their own checkers in those programs. More bad news, there's 4,000 documents on the website. So my proposal does not include those because that would take a little bit long.
In your, would you say that a lot of the majority of those are outdated documents that we need anymore?
I think largely, most of them would be non-compliant in some way. So a lot of the documents on the website were from a printed and scanned.
Mm-hmm.
Newer scanners will create those as searchable, and readable, so, but there's still other pretty minuscule things that you have to do within Word docs and PDF text that you have to assign a title to them. The couple I checked were scanned in, so they had to be, which Acrobat has a good tool for that, to make it searchable.
Right.
Word would always be searchable. They were made in Word, they were made pre-compliant. So the process is probably make something in Word, export it to a PDF, upload it to a website.
Right, and I think that's, I don't know how you guys are doing that stuff now.
Currently, most of the documents that go on the website are scanned in through the
Right.
copier
So
and
we
then
just
put
need,
out there. My understanding, you may have a better understanding than I do, my understanding is that we don't have to bring the documents into compliance if it's not a document that changes all the time, if it's just there for history, but moving forward, anything that we put on has to be compliant.
That's right.
If I'm incorrect on that, I apologize. That's my very limited understanding of this very long statute or whatever.
I'm very new to this too. I don't have too many government sites, and while I am presenting this to other clients, they are brushing it up. So
right, And it
it's a
was-
learning process.
the deadline was pushed back.
Yes,
It doesn't mean that, I mean, it's still gonna take us a while to go
right.
through everything,
I
but
would bet new documents, like moving forward, you have to make sure they're compliant.
Yes.
Maybe old documents you don't have.
sure.
That's my understanding. I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt depending on if we have to get software or something.
So is there a reason you're not just combining all the files in Adobe and
Right.
posting it online? Because there's a way to do that.
And that's, I just,
And then you're not making a copy, scanning it,
You're just uploading.
you're just uploading it.
and I've noticed,
Depends what we get. So, for documents that we create in-house, sure. But we don't always get everything in-house. We get stuff emailed or dropped off, depending on what we're talking about, or an RFP or bid, whatever. It's those documents that's why it's simpler for us to just put the packet all together and throw it on the copier and scan it and then have one document out there for people to access. What I'm mostly referring to is the agenda packets. That's how we do it now. Not saying we can't change that process, it's just what we do now.
I mean, I have to do that too,
Sure,
but we either ask for electronic copies or we scan just those pages and combine it into the already electronic copies of things that we have.
cause I've noticed that in here, like, a lot of these are not, they're just scanned,
yes.
they're not the print.
Only a couple of our staff have that version. I can't do that. Brittany can.
The Adobe
So-
Pro.
Yeah, whatever it is. So we may have some additional costs to finally figure out exactly how best to do this. We've got to figure out what option makes the most sense. That very well may be it. But we got to make sure it's compliant before we invest anything too. So hopefully, we had a little bit of time to figure that out, but I would encourage us to start down this path of getting the website the way you want it and, so that it doesn't come crashing down on us with, no time to figure out the PDF stuff and everything.
Acrobat has a feature where you can take a scanned document, and it's just a click of a button, make it searchable and readable. I don't know how accurate it is to do that, but it will go through the document and change it to electronic text.
Mhm.
So, and then there's a separate section for accessibility. So you just gotta go through that and the one I checked, I think had 12 different things wrong with it. And it was a scanned document, that was the main part of it, is so maybe 8 of those were the 80 pages of the document saying, hey, this was a scanned image essentially,
Sure.
not electronic. And then there were a handful of other things that had to be done, pretty minor. But I would bet that most of those documents in some point have to, something has to change with them.
And I think, and I don't know if there's someone internally that can help while we're doing this to clean up, there's so many old docs, so many old, you search for something and 5 different pages come up that might not even have anything linked to it anymore. I think there's just, again, whether we can internally help save on some of that time, clearing up some of those pages, but updating this website is something we should have done a long time ago, but now we have to, so.
So we scan it, we make all those changes, and then, like I said, eventually I'll get PDFs with it. At least moving forward, make sure before they're uploaded on the website, whatever program you're in, make sure they come out of there.
What do you think your time frame is, Nathan, for at least coming up with the,
I mean, I could, I'm juggling some projects, but
I'm just curious, like, if you think this is gonna take a few months, 5 months, like, I'm just curious.
If it needed to be done in a month, I'd get it done in a month, at least my portion of it, not that
Okay,
portion.
I was just curious.
And then, phase 3, if you wanted to continuous monitoring, then we have to keep paying for that program, which is $150 a month. You save 20% if you go annually, but that would do, you could do continual scans. It provides all sorts of like auditing reports and, accessibility statement that you can put on the website, so viewers know you're compliant. and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff. So there's a lot of stuff back in there. And then if changes are made on the site, or just every now and then run a scan on the framework and the theme, just to make sure that, because compliance will change, levels will change on that, so just make sure it continues to stay compliant. I recommend it. I don't know what's better to just pay for a month, because you can cancel and pick it up anytime, so pay for a month. Like I said, it would take me a month to get through it, so I would pay for that software for a month, get through the site, then we could cancel it, maybe, 6 months. Like,
Do another
yeah,
check.
3 months or however, that's
Sure.
good as that.
Okay.
So,
All right, does anybody have any questions for Nathan? I don't think there's many ways around this. If there's no questions, we're looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the Common Council approval of the quote from Finish Line Studios to bring the city's webpage into compliance with ADA requirements and freshen up the look of the website.
Second?
Motion by Terry, second by Missy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We'll put that on for next week for review and approval.
So I don't need you next week. I think everybody has their questions answered.
So I guess my only question is, so
Yep.
would I be working with Jesse?
Yeah, between Jesse and, or any of the ladies in the office, whoever's
Okay,
taking it on, but yeah.
okay, then,
Yeah.
you about working on some concepts and trying to get an idea of what. I provided one, I kind of threw that together, but
I gave them that picture. But yeah, if you come up with a couple, then, it's up to the council. Do you want us to bring just the general concepts and you pick A, B, or C, and then he can run with it kind of thing?
it usually ends up being a combination, I don't think I've
Sure.
ever nailed it on the first read. It's usually a combination of, like, I like this and this and that, and then I finalize it and then we build it up.
Sure. Yeah, I think, once we narrow down some ideas, then we can bring it back to council and you guys can choose on,
Which version?
yeah.
I'm gonna go for a more, like the current website, is just a big image, a lot of overlaying stuff, and big buttons, not much content.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back towards, I think that'll help with compliance as well,
Mhm.
back to be more traditional.
Yeah.
Like logo,
Simplicity, yes.
navigation, that banner area,
Yeah.
call to action, and some content, some actual text content on the page, which will also help for search engine rankings and stuff like that.
Alrighty,
Okay.
sounds good, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so we're gonna go back to number 6, which is resolution number 26-03, the resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale not to exceed $2 million general obligation promissory notes. So we have Brad from Baird.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. I'll walk through the presentation packet that was included in your agenda. So this is for the city's capital program in Farley. This is financing that the city typically undertakes every other year for capital projects. So just in terms of a timeline with the committee's recommendation tonight to council will take this up next week. Preparations for the issuance would be made. We prepare an official statement, which is the offering document used to sell the notes. We apply for bond insurance, prepare to begin marketing the obligation. And then we were targeting a May 20th award date. That's the date that the rates and the terms are finalized. And closing them would follow June 10th. So the resolution that you're looking at tonight is called the parameters resolution. It establishes a narrow set of parameters that once those parameters are met, then the notes can be awarded outside of a regular council meeting. So the parameters are listed on, or summarized on the bottom of this page. They include a not to exceed borrowing amount, $2 million, a not to exceed interest rate, 4.75%. And then there's flexibility to increase or decrease individual principal payments, individual annual principal payments by up to $2,000. That's included so we can meet the long-term debt targets that the city has. The summary of the issuance is towards the middle of the page. These are general obligation promissory notes. So that means the city is pledging its taxing authority to the investors to secure the notes. You're supporting levy-supported projects will be funded with these notes. That includes projects included in your capital improvement program and equipment acquisition. We've got a 10-year repayment, so final payment is scheduled for 2036. And first interest would be next year, March. The estimated interest rate based on current market is 3.75%. So that's 1 percentage point below the maximum interest rate outlined in the parameter. That 1% might seem like a pretty wide margin, but it's really so that we, in case rates start to move up, we can get this locked in. If we put a much narrower rate, like for example, if I put 3.8% and then rates went to 3.85, we can't finalize. We have to come back to council and either get an additional approval or wait for the rates to drop. So this just provides a little more flexibility to the city to get this no issues. There's a long-term financing plan detail on the next page. This lays out a few things. First, on the left-hand side of the page are the existing obligations of the city that are supported by tax levy. In the Boxton area is the estimated repayment for this $2 million issue. And you can see in the Boxton total payments, I have equal annual payments between $245,000 to $250,000 based on the 3.75 interest rate. Towards the right-hand side of the page, you've got a placeholder for future issuance. Those are just for planning purposes, purely hypothetical at this point. The council is not being asked to take any formal action on those future issues. They're here for planning only. So the combined debt service then includes existing, the $2 million issue this year, and those hypothetical future $2 million issues brought to market every other year, every 2 years. What I point out is that we've got a structure developed that by 2030, we see the peak year in the debt service levy at 1,349,000, or it's, I guess, peak at about 10,000 higher than in 2029. But then you'll see it starts to drop, drops to 1,137,000, and then finally levels out at about 1,250,000. So to the extent we stick with this plan, we have a very level repayment and manageable debt service levy for the city moving forward. Of course, if you need to increase these borrowings because of additional projects or inflation, these numbers will change. But this is something we update every time we come before council, something that would be updated for you. With that, I'd be glad to answer questions, or I can go into more detail.
So when will the taxpayers see this increase on their tax bills?
Well, so.
Start
Sure.
27?
The first time they're gonna see it is 27.
Yeah.
Because the way, and that's reflected on that right-hand column towards the right that says total combined debt service. You can see from this year, the city budgeted $883,000 for capital projects that are funded with debt service. In 26, that would actually drop just a little bit, drops about $20,000. And then the first impact is 2027, where it would be a total payment of $1,110,000.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Brad or Jesse? If not, we're looking for a motion. Obviously, this is not the first time we've talked about the borrowing, so.
I'll make a motion to recommend the common council approval of resolution 26-03, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $2 million general obligation promissory notes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Sam, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brad. That was quicker than the internet one, I'm sorry, I thought the website was gonna go quicker. On to number 8, which is the raise and repair unsafe properties update. Recommendation is listen to the presentation and discussion and action as appropriate. Tim?
All right, so just this was prepared with council's request to have, I'd say, a comprehensive update of where things are at with some properties, some that are historic that just are in the memory. There are some that are ongoing and some that are, I'd say, planned to be addressed and at the more beginning stages of trying to find solutions to the problems. I mean, you can say that, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I can add on the ones that are, I'd say, finished or on the borderline of being finished, but again, we're always open to that, any sort of thoughts on that. The ones that do need work, we've had some ongoing progress for those. Actually, I'd say in the last week, there are a couple items I could have updated on this, but I think sticking to the 30-day, as in the building code requirements of people and then communicating that has been effective, and it's, at least for one of those, is say keeping it from becoming a greater problem. There is one that could become a greater problem at its current trajectory. We're just having to figure out how to try to motivate the property owner and not get it to the point where it has to be formal raise or repair or raise or remove, which so is a possibility. We have the vacant properties that are, say, represented in the ladder section that of the ongoing that also had some progress. We are actually going to be having an inspection of one of those tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to say that it's in better shape than I'm sort of thinking it will be, but again, do not want to see that go to raise or repair, raise or remove. It would be quite cost prohibitive likely based on just the materials it's made of.
So these are just, I know the list is, or this, excuse me, the spreadsheet that I've seen. This list is not all inclusive, right? There's several others that may have been warned or are in a process, right? Like
Yes,
this
yeah,
is-
there are others that are on the radar. It just,
Sure.
I think we're trying to strategically manage the workload, especially with the inspectors being dedicated to more than just Berlin as far as
Right.
cities go.
Right.
I mean,
Because as a reminder, they're only here for a couple hours weekly.
Yeah, they're here several hours in the office and then probably about that much inspecting,
Out
maybe
in-
more than that.
Sure.
It really just depends on how they can manage the workload overall, but, I mean, otherwise, just the other solution is, threatening and going to citation, which would have typically 10 or 14-day compliance windows. I'd say it's a coin flip if there will be compliance or not in that route. There are some that are just, I'm not sure what else to do with, but anyway, I'm just trying to go in, I'd say generalizations. There's more information in here that I could go into if you have questions, comments, or anything else you want to pull out of this.
I would like to, maybe next week, we can touch base, sit down and take a look at that spreadsheet and just see where we're at with the rest of them, or the severity. Because I know this is not everything, so. Does anybody else have any questions for Tim? Or any concerns, anything that sticks out to you? Because I would say that there's more than just one nuisance property that we have, not just this one, right?
Yeah, these are ones where there's overlap with the
Sure.
unsafe problem or unsafe condition.
I have a question for you, because we're throwing out a couple of terms here. I just want to make sure that I understand kind of the evolution. Can you tell me the difference between a nuisance property and unsafe property, or raise and repair? Like, how do we evolve through those?
Sure, those are all defined in ordinance. I'd say generally speaking, the nuisance ones are the ones that we have our chapter 46 as the public nuisance. It has a list of, I wouldn't say that's exactly exclusive of what's in the building chapter, but it has specific items that it calls out, where unsafe building is the overall category that the raise and repair is part of, or raise and remove, which are in the building chapter of the ordinance.
So you're telling me read the ordinance, is what you're telling me?
Sorry, it's, there's not a real high level way to,
I think a nuisance is any time that there's a violation of the code, we would consider that a nuisance, and we would issue a letter with pictures explaining what needs to be done to bring it back into compliance. Most of your nuisances, well, I shouldn't say most, they don't have to necessarily be related to the safety or structure. Those can be people parking something that they shouldn't park in the yard, or having trash in the yard, things like that. So it's not necessarily unsafe, but it's a violation of the ordinance to be a nuisance. So then when you get to unsafe, there's something that's probably structurally unsound. It's a problem that we've taken to the building inspector. And once the building inspector deems that it's gotten to the point where it either needs to be fixed or needs to be torn down because of safety issues that it was to the raise and repair.
Thank you.
We also have, it's in my office though.
It's
We
more
have
specific
this,
than that.
we have the workflow sheet too.
Mhm.
I don't exactly know where to find it on the website. I feel like it was on the website.
yes, it's still on the website. I checked today.
What, give me an idea, where am I looking? Is it under yours, under building inspection?
I think it's under code enforcement under City Hall. Flow chart is a link, I believe, on the bottom of the page.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. This would be helpful to maybe print for everybody again or to send to them.
I love that, yeah, thank you.
So this was, especially when people come to you as other persons, it's a little flow chart of when they come to you, what you should do as the next step. If you're going to Jesse, if you're going to Scott, or how that goes. So it's just a flow chart of City of Berlin property nuisance flow chart. And it starts with someone, public, building inspector, city staff, PD officer notices issues with the property in Berlin. Then it goes down to planning and development, director is notified of the issue. Then it goes to the what is this one? Police or planning and development director checks city records for history, property address. And then it's down to, he checks with the police department for history of property address and owner. And then it fizzles off from there, yeah. So, that's something that we can either print or email to them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I put that down.
Any other questions for Tim? I like seeing this update, so thank you for keeping us in the loop on those.
I have a question, Tim. What kind of responses do you get on a lot of these letters when they get sent out? Are the responses, are they pretty much like, okay, yeah, we're gonna take care of this, or do you get a lot of pushback?
Yeah, actually a lot more often than not, people do just get the letter and they deal with the issue in, I'd say, within about a week.
Good. Anything else? Okay, thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
On to number 9 is council chambers audio video systems upgrade. Recommendation is review and recommend the quote from Peak Systems Group. I guess I can take this one since I did most of.
Yeah.
So I had tried my darndest to get that room working again. We have one computer in there that actually fried. It's not working at all, so that's why we are using this lovely thing to get us at least onto YouTube. I went through down several wormholes of contacting different people to try to get it figured out, and everybody either didn't show up or they left and didn't come back because it was that bad. So finally, I reached out to the school district because we have our own in-house AV directors. And so I had them come in, and their suggestion was to go with this company who I believe is out of Appleton. Reedsburg, sorry. And so they do a lot of municipal and churches. They do a lot of school districts, including the Berlin School District. So he came in, met with me for over an hour, took measurements, looked at everything, and at the end of the day asked what our needs were, what we're looking for. And I think my answer was very simple, was make it simple. We have several different people that are hosting and running meetings, and the way I used to have to talk people through and the different notes, if we could even get that room up and running, was just, the whole synopsis was that room was way more than we ever needed. That room was created during COVID with pieced together equipment, and then it was set up, and we never heard from the people that installed it again. So it was also set up so that we could stream online, or sorry, not just online, but also our cable channel. I don't know if, I'm probably the oldest one here now. You might remember that we never got Spectrum Charter, whatever. They never gave us the part. We never got back on the cable channel. So that is not even an option anymore. So when he came in, we're using a lot of our own hardware. You'll see that there was a quote in here. I told him to throw it in there if we had the option to upgrade the cameras. He said the cameras were okay. We can make them work. Obviously the new ones are gonna be better quality. But he threw in that extra, I think it was 14,000 for extra for the new cameras, yeah. Otherwise they're using our same fixtures that we have. The biggest difference, instead of me having to run over there to, the volume is on the wall. When they put all that together, the whole concept was that whoever was the moderator of the meeting would have been able to control all that stuff up here. But at the time, we had not so tech savvy leaders that could not make it work. So they said, okay, let's put it in this room. Volume on the wall doesn't help me up here. It doesn't help whoever's running the meeting. It doesn't help to have to go and switch the computer in there to try to get somebody on Zoom. It's just, it was not set up the way it should have been. This will be, the new system will be on an iPad, basically. And it'll be a touch here to stream, touch here for this camera. It's very simplistic so that anybody can run it. So this was their quote to get us up and running, to be able to stream to YouTube and Zoom at the same time. So we can have, like we used to have, where we can have our Zoom participants if we need to. But it would be whoever's running that meeting can have that iPad and control everything, whether zooming in on the cameras, because that's a thing. We just could never do it in there. Use the cameras better and more efficiently, and be able to talk to the people up on the screen and adjust volumes and all that good stuff. So the recommendation was to use this out of the capital funds that we are just borrowing. Again, this is not something we were planning, but I can't keep up with this. And we have the equipment, and I just feel like it's a disservice that we're not even using any of this stuff, or we can't because we can't even tap into it because it's ancient or locked out. We can't even access it. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
Just regarding the cameras,
Yeah.
you'd mentioned that he said that we could use the existing
Yep.
cameras, but why does he recommend the upgrade?
He did it right. He said we could absolutely just use these.
Okay.
It's just the quality. These cameras are, I think this was installed in 20. So they're 6 years old already. Megapixel wise, obviously, the day you buy them, they're already extinct. You can buy better the next day. So I just asked him that if we're spending the money, we're doing it now, and we're making the upgrades. He wasn't sure at the time when I asked him what the cost would be of the new cameras. So when he did the research and he threw them in here, I wasn't exactly expecting that much, but I said, well, we're doing it. If we're doing it, I would bring it to you guys and you guys can make the decision. So they can work, but if we're installing all the other stuff, I wanted to run it by you guys.
Maybe I'm not seeing it, but this quote's for $35,800, but
So we don't need the second, the first,
Oh, okay.
we don't need the cable TV feed. And the option 2 with the new cameras is the extra 14,000. So it's without the cameras, it's more in the 20,
It says the base system, so totals 20,300 at the
Yeah.
bottom of page 1.
No, she's looking at the 89,000.
321.
321.
That we would borrow, and I'm not seeing that in the proposal.
This project could be added to the list.
The contingency borrowing.
Right. We would add it to the list of the projects. I'm sorry, I didn't give you that list again. You guys approved that not too long ago.
the big list that they gave us with all the projects for the
Gotcha.
$2 million borrowing.
Right,
Okay.
there's about 85,000 that we have listed as contingency. And to be perfectly honest,
And this is,
yes, I mean, it can go in there. We don't want to use all of the contingency because some of the borrowing costs and other things will come out of that. And obviously, those are all estimates. But if you're comfortable, I think it would be safe to move forward with this under the borrowing.
gotcha.
And again, we didn't have the money any other time, and I'm not saying to just go ahead and drain because we have this $2 million. I just know that this can't keep up, and either way, we were gonna have some expenses coming, whether it was new computers, because we can't use any of those, or the cost it was gonna take to even find somebody. We can't find somebody to touch that. I have had several people in here, that again have either just ghosted me, or this isn't their forte, so. This is the best I've gotten from anybody, so. And honestly, with the variety of people that are leading the meetings and the trainings that I have to have, or the times I have to come running up here, because, no offense, the times I have to come running up here, when there's other meetings to help people set up this stuff, I would rather not be here for every single meeting to do that, since we don't have in-house IT. So this would help a lot of people.
And normally I would say if the cameras are working, leave them, but I've watched online and it's
Yeah.
even difficult to discern who is talking sometimes with that video.
And the fact, you could Zoom, we could have Zoomed all this time, but again, whoever's doing the meeting would have had to have gone in there to do it. And you're right, it's not crystal clear, I would agree. I was just trying to save some money, but again, if we're doing it, my preference would be to just do it all, but again, it's up to you guys.
I would note though, and maybe everybody's on the same page, this assumes we go back to using
Yeah,
the big cameras, not the owl, excuse me. So the meetings for the last few months here have been the owl. So if you're talking about camera quality, just so you know, we'd be talking about meetings probably last year.
and I would almost say that the quality is probably the same. Actually, the owl is probably a better quality because it's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
The old views were so stretched out that you couldn't see who was talking. And again, had I known, or neither here nor there, whatever, can't go back. But I didn't want to be the one to make the decision all alone of should we replace them? Obviously, we're trying to be frugal, but then again, if we're making all the other updates, to me, it makes sense to update them, but
I think it makes a lot of sense logically to have the same company that's doing your computers, that's doing the integration to do the video, rather than have someone come in 5 years later and then play with wiring and, jerry-rig it to make their own stuff work. So I think it does make sense to do them at the same time if you're gonna upgrade it to a working solution.
If we do this and we have issues, do we have them available to call?
so, yeah, and I was talking to Jesse about this too, that they are very responsive. They were very quick with me. The school district, this is what's nice about tag teaming the same like businesses. They're very quick with the school district. And so most times when you get stuff like that, they'll check in with you. If they're at the school district, it's easy for them to stop over, and which is what they did the day they came to measure. Hey, we're in the neighborhood. We're gonna be in the neighborhood next week working on school stuff. Can we swing in and take a look? So yeah, they're very responsive, which is also a plus.
I would say though that if you were planning to go with the cameras, keep in mind that total at the bottom of the 35.8 includes, I believe, that 1,100.
Yeah, we can take that.
I don't think anybody is proposing that we
No, because
utilize that. So,
it's not even an option.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's either the 20,300 or the 34,700 really.
Yeah.
If anything, it's just right now.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the quote from Peak Systems Group to upgrade and restore the audio visual systems in council chambers to include the video for the estimate total of $34,700.
I'll second that.
Motion by Victoria, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to number 10 is the pool request for proposals process. Discussion and action is appropriate.
So what I did was take our last version, basically just replace this with the version, which I think was option 4 before. So basically, just any idea, what do you want to do with the pool? And I tried to clarify, as I thought was the request last time, that this could definitely include the reuse of the pool if that's somebody's proposal or not. It does not have to. So it's out there for anything that anybody wants to do. Once the RFP goes out, once you're comfortable with this documentation and choose a timeline and all those kinds of things, keep in mind, you are not required to select an RFP. If it comes back and you don't feel that any of the ideas brought forward are in the best interest of the community, you can reject that proposal. Just keep that in mind. I'm not suggesting that's what we want to do. I'm just saying, there's no pressure that if you get 2 proposals and you're like, I don't think either of these are good for the community, you don't have to pick between them, you know? Or you could get 10 really great ones and have a lot of conversation and a really difficult decision. I hope so. I hope that you have really good options out there to choose from, but I just want to make sure that people realize that. Putting this out does not mean you have to choose something that comes back to the city. I certainly don't want you to go through this not planning to choose one. That's not what I mean at all, but. Did anybody have any questions, concerns, things that they thought were missing or that they thought were too much or anything like that?
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I do have a question. If somebody wanted to see the property to make a quote, how would they reach out to the city for that?
So within this, I actually put in here that there would be a non-mandatory proposal meeting site visit. So we would put a date in here when we would be out at the site and they would be,
Welcome.
welcome to come walk through. So we'd have a mini meeting out at the site.
So there's a site visit date,
Yep,
That-
it isn't in here yet.
right, when it goes out.
But yes,
But I also think if somebody was really interested, I don't see our city staff turning down somebody to let them in or.
to look out there.
Outside of the date?
Normally, for fairness,
Right.
you keep it is the date. Or if we had to, like, if we heard from a few people, I can't make that date, then I would say that we would post
Right.
that there will be an additional meeting
Gotcha.
on another date. Like, we wouldn't just allow an individual time to go because that could be considered an unfair advantage by the others who are bidding.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, it was,
If not, then I will talk with staff and get these dates updated and proposed for you guys, and then you can, approve it.
next week.
If you're comfortable with that, unless there's anything else that we're gonna look into further or whatever.
No, that was actually my question was, when you thought you'd have dates ready, so, okay, good.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, on to number 11, which is the Charter Ordinance 05-26 to amend Chapter 2, Article 1 of the Municipal Code to institute at-large representation of the Common Council rather than representation by aldermanic district. The recommendation is to approve the charter ordinance to institute the at-large representation. And then this one's just the council one, the next number will be for our boards and committees.
Yes, I know that was a question. The council had asked if we could do the charter ordinance changes together. The answer that I got was yes, but don't.
Okay.
It would just get too hairy, so they wanted, our attorney wanted two separate.
The reason being that because the charter ordinance has to have the 2-month period where people can then request that it be put on a ballot as a referendum question. If you have multiple pieces, it could make your referendum question rather complicated, and it could stop a portion that that nobody has a problem with. So if you do it as separate, then it can be their own deals, and it's just cleaner. Basically, is what I got from it.
So a timeline for this one, once this gets approved, it's a 60-day waiting period, and then it should be a go.
So it is implemented after the 60 days if there is
no
appeal of it, that's not the right word, but if nobody petition to make it go to referendum. If that were to happen, then we'd have to get it on for a referendum, which I have to double check the timeline, but I think we're probably looking at November.
It would be November.
Because they're 60 days out and then,
Unless they petitioned immediately.
yes.
So help me understand what order we're doing this in, which is the first part that we're going to, then the second?
So we're doing first, this number 11 is for the alderman at large.
Okay.
So can I get some background as to why for the change?
So I requested, it's been so hard to fill alderman seats, and we've had several people in certain wards that, like, we had many people running. And then we have, well, look at your guys' seats, for example. There's other people in other wards that wanted to step up but couldn't. And so this has been happening in quite a few different municipalities, and so it's just so hard. And if we have the people that want to do it, why does it matter where they're sitting, where they're living? So this was my thought to try to help that process, because I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous that we weren't even gonna have a quorum leading up to after this last election. So we thought that this was a good idea to bring forward for a change. And it's not just older persons. This is why we're going on to the next one too, is just finding people to step up is getting so hard. So if there's other people out there willing to do the job, it shouldn't matter where they live.
Right, this one is specific to older persons because by statute, you must be a resident of the community to sit on this council. That's not the case with necessarily most of the boards and commissions and committees. But for this one, you absolutely have to be a resident in order to sit on council. So what this would allow is that each year, rather than having either the odd or the even number of wards up for election, it would be 3 seats at large. So everyone in the community would vote for not more than 3 older persons.
So
And
just
the
like
top 3 vote, yep, exactly.
Just like the school board, like if there was 5 people that wanted to run, you pick your top 3 choices still.
Yep.
It would not change the voting districts. You know, if you're Ward 3, you're still voting in Ward 3. It has nothing to do with those, the districts or the,
Right, because you could have different representation on the county board, or if you're in Washington County versus Green Lake County. So that's what those districts are in place for, more than just our city wards. They're in place because of other representation layers. So if you live in Ward 3, you're still going to get a Ward 3 ballot. Although if there isn't anything specific to the wards, then everybody may get the same ballot. But that's per election. That's a whole bunch of fun to go into otherwise, but yeah.
But yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because we'll have 2 people running for the same seat and nobody running for 2 other seats. And
right.
Yes, and I mean, there are certainly advantages to alderman districts, especially in really large communities. I mean, you look at Milwaukee, and I'm certain that there are people who have not been to other wards, you know, who represent or frequently. Whereas here, I kind of feel that our community is small enough that you're all familiar with all corners of it, being that you live here.
And we all hear, whether we're the alder person of an area anyways, it doesn't, people are going to,
People call who they want.
they call who they want to.
Let's go down the list.
Yeah, yeah. And Oshkosh, right? Oshkosh is at large?
Oshkosh is at large.
So they're a much larger community, but again, this,
20,000?
yeah, this just came down to, we need people in the seats. So this was kind of the best solution we could find.
I have to agree with Jesse, like, there's really not many of us, and I'm a transplant from 2004, and I could probably go to just about every place in the city and be familiar with it, so.
So with that, we are looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the common council the adoption of the charter ordinance 05-26 of the municipal code to institute at-large representation of the common council.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then also in those notes, it obviously gave the updates, like this isn't gonna happen overnight. We all don't just all run over again. You guys were just elected for 2 terms. You are safe for your 2 terms. Or, sorry, 2 years, your 1 term, sorry. So it's gonna be kind of a staggered, if and when this passes, as long as there's no petitions or anything like that, and it doesn't have to go to, referendum. It'll kind of be a staggered approach. So. Okay, so then we are on to number 12, which is the residency requirements of the committee, board, and commission members. Recommendation is to review and action as appropriate. Same but not same.
Right, so this ordinance has not been written yet because, we need guidance as to if you would like to see some of the committees and commissions not requiring residency, which of those it would be, or on the flip side, which ones do you wish to continue to require? So you can have that conversation through the committees and commissions and boards, so that the ordinance can then be updated per your wishes.
Did we have a, did we have a staff report on this one that had a recommended, or am I missing it?
Staff report that had what, I'm sorry?
For this section? Like,
It says which section it comes out of that requires.
I'm just missing,
residency.
that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
I was just looking for that sheet, I can't.
And then there's a memo from the attorney that goes through and says
Yeah.
what's required by statute and what's required by ordinance.
Oh, there it is.
So, of course, like we just talked about, city council, you can't change that other than the representation that you've been discussing prior. But then when you go to your other committees, commissions, boards, you have some flexibility for the most part. The second column is state law residency requirement. So if it says no, then it's up to you guys completely. If there is a statute there, then we have to make sure that whatever you determine is within those purviews, obviously, because we can't override the state statute. But
So Jerry,
many of these don't have any state statute requirements.
so again, background, I don't know if all the meetings kind of run together, so I don't remember what we talked about. But this was again, since I started as alderperson, so I served two terms, so 4 or 5 years, as 1 year, whatever. Several times I heard that business owners wish that they could sit and have a say. They may not have been a citizen or a resident of the community, but they were a taxpayer of the community. And then had their businesses here and they wish they had more say. So again, and then at a previous meeting, excuse me, we had a resident come and ask, again, for us to kind of open up that door to at least allow it. And so the way that this is stated, you could see our attorney's recommendation was, instead of using the terminology of permitting only a business owner, only a taxpayer, that to be eligible for these boards and commissions, that he recommended using more expansive language such as a citizen, person's recognized experience and qualifications.
Right, so basically, you could determine when you make your appointments if that person meets the call.
Yeah, so there would be, just like there's an application to be on any of these boards, they can put their qualifications and why they think that they should be on it. And so then we can review that and decide if they fit the bill, and we think that they would be a good fit for our community if they weren't a resident of our community.
Yeah, I've had numerous business owners approach me that have asked for this change. So I think we should look at opening some of them up, the ones that we can.
Right, right.
I think, I love opening this up to business owners that have a vested interest in the city and they do pay taxes and they care about how the city moves forward. I feel that the Board of Appeals would be the one that we might want to leave off of that table, just because it could look like a conflict of interest if we say, you, the business owner, can start giving appeal, variances, what's the word I'm looking for here? Special license, what's the word I'm looking for?
Conditional use permit?
Thank you, conditional use CUPs, could be offering CUPs, based on their preferences when they don't have a residence here. So that would be the one that I would say, that and possibly planning commission, just because they're deciding the future of the growth of the city, and business might be only solely interested in commercial growth, not the whole growth of the city. Those are the only two that I feel might be suspicious if we had.
So what was the other one you said?
I was thinking Board of Appeals.
So that one already says no.
Yeah.
Well, that one just means that no,
That just means
simply
no
means
law
there's no
or
law.
Oh, sorry, no, okay.
But we do have a city code for that.
Yes,
Right.
we do. All of them pretty much are restricted by city code. That 237, 2-327, sorry, I just didn't remember there, is the one that most of these refer back to. It's on the memo, but, there are some that have other specifics. So we'd have to, for sure, if you open it up, probably tweak 2-327, and then depending on which other ones you wished. For instance, if you wanted to do, open cemetery board, we'd have to tweak 2-401. So that's what that third column is.
So you want us to decide tonight what we're,
You don't have to, but, if you want the ordinance written up, then you do. If you want to think about this further and have me put it on for next month's committee of the whole, that's okay. I mean, this is at your pace and how much discernment you feel that you need, because to be honest, these committees and commissions, we normally do the assignments at the organizational meeting, which is in April, which just happened. We do have a couple of vacancies yet, but we're in much better shape than we were prior to April, thanks to the mayor's consistent getting out there and talking to people and trying to round up, activity among our people. So I don't personally have a time frame. This is your time frame.
And I'm willing to be open to hearing if anybody feels that business owners should be on those. That was just my initial first blush thought, that could be considered a conflict of interest in the eyes of people. And if you're just looking to always seem on the up and up,
Or if there's any additional information that you think would aid you in these types of discussions, please, and we're happy to find it for you. Just tell me what that is. We give you, or myself and Eric give you what made sense to us, but certainly if there's something else.
did you, in talking with Eric, did he mention if this is becoming more common, or if this is, I'm just like, we can't be the only ones out there that are trying to do this or that have done it.
I didn't get anything specific from him, but I did, when I spoke with him, he noted he had just done basically the same chart for another community fairly recently.
One of the nice
conversations.
Right, one of the nice perks with having Eric Larson as our attorney is the fact that they work for the municipal law, that this is all they do is municipal law. So I was hoping that he had a little insight in this of,
No, we're not alone.
okay. I'm curious what other communities pick and choose or what they, I mean, because now not that we have a ton of boards, but if we start eliminating Board of Appeals, Plan Commission, I mean, so Parks and Rec, Committee on Aging, Oakwood Cemetery Board, Library Board is already open to other non-residents.
And the library board has some pretty specific state statutes, to be honest. I would avoid messing with that one.
Okay. So I'm just gonna write no on that one. Police and fire. I feel like,
That one I feel a little more open on, just because I feel that even businesses would be interested in the, safety of the town.
my question is optional powers. Do we even get to decide this?
Well, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think that this needs to go to police and fire.
Yeah, I don't
commission.
think you do.
If you want to change that,
Mhm.
you should, that
So-
specific piece should probably go to that, yes.
Maybe next week.
That would be the same
Or
with sewer and water.
Right, same with sewer and water.
Ask them.
So I guess see what, police and fire, if we can add it to their agenda, if,
They meet tomorrow, so it would be a month.
which is, again, we're fine. I mean, but I don't think we can make that decision for them, so I think that they should make that decision, let them.
Well, they would make a recommendation to you.
Right. But I'm
Okay.
saying that we need to check with them or get that on their agenda for them to discuss.
Okay, were there any others? I heard
Sewer and water.
for water. In the same boat.
So really, travel and tourism sounds like a good one.
Yes.
Oakwood Cemetery, Committee on Aging, Community Development Authority doesn't really meet anyways, and then Parks and Rec.
Right.
Does that sound,
What about Board of Review? What's the difference between Board of Appeals and Board of?
that's another state one that
Yeah, that's statutorily required, I believe that you have, let me see.
consists of any number of town, city, or village residents. So
But it has to be the city
City,
residents
yeah,
who stay.
Okay, so
Those are the ones that hear assessment appeals.
So really, we'd just be opening up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and possibly
where did you have that?
travel and tourism.
Travel and tourism, 1, Parks and Rec, 2, Committee on Aging, 3, Oakwood Cemetery, 4.
Oh, she probably,
Oh, Community Development
Community
Authority.
I didn't even count down because they don't meet, we don't even have people on it. I mean, you
But
could,
you
yes,
would
you're
still
right.
amend
You're
the
right.
ordinance if they ever created it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
but if we had people interested, like business owners, would that be?
yeah, right,
They might create it.
mm-hmm. Sure.
So what I've heard as next steps is to take this to the Police and Fire Commission and the Sewer and Water Commission,
Mhm.
then bring that back to you, and then you can kind of do your final yeas and nays, and then at that point, ask the city attorney to draft it.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Agreed.
Easy peasy. Okay, any other questions on that one? Otherwise, we're on to number 13.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, I'll let Missy have it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Missy, second by Sam, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned at 8:03.
Oh, you guys.
I'm trying to hear you.